Why are you always making me climb in the smallest of places?
Well, Jerry, this is the best way to get to the podcast that we need to steal this week.
It's always
like we do every week on Mondays.
Mondays, every Monday.
Yeah, religiously.
Sometimes I wish we could just walk through the door, but yeah. Every Monday on where do they find it?
On Spotify, Apple, anywhere you can find podcasts. That's where we are.
I get so hot in these vents. I think they have the heater on.
Oh, Jeremy, don't move. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Michael and Jeremy Steal Your Podcast every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts and stuff.
We're going to take your podcast and we're going to do it
better,
faster,
stronger,
hornier.
Yes.
In an hour.
Or more. Sometimes.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults.
And beer.
And beer. I actually have one right now. Yay.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
I don't think that qualifies.
It's beer.
Water with beer flavoring.
It's the best brewmasters, according to your husband.
He did say that, yes. It's consistently bad, but it's okay.
Anyway, we forgot to introduce ourselves last episode, so I'm Bill.
And I'm Sandy, or Sandra, either way.
And I forgot to do this too last episode. So I'll do that
did.
Now.
You know what? The light is kind of just an intermittent thing when you remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the little beer of the week segment, that we had on the last episode. I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. And your husband wasn't nearly as mean to me as you said that he was going to be, regarding my beverage of choice.
He's a nice person, and he only talks about you behind your back, not to your face.
Oh, and by the way, did you see that Facebook post that I told you about, where Paul had said that he missed doing the show and he enjoyed doing it and all that stuff? Well, he added something. Did you see what he added?
No.
He said that he added he also wanted to give a special welcome to you as being the new co-host. Thought you thought you were good, so yeah.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Paul's a really good guy. Yeah, we like Paul, but we like Sandra better. Not just kidding, Paul. Just kidding.
He's not kidding. But
and if anybody wants to see that, it's on the Discussion Pub Facebook page. Yeah, it's really nice blog, not a blog, but a really nice post from Paul. Blurb. It's really sentimental and everything. Yeah, he's a really good guy. Anyway, getting into part 2 of Ed Gein. The last episode in the Wisconsin Cheese Binge. And we've also decided that we're going to go right into another binge. England.
Yes.
And the reason for this is, England is like our second or third market, biggest market. And I went through the episodes and we have not covered one single case from England. We've done several from Scotland, but no England. And the UK is our Canada is our second largest market, and depending on which platform you look at, England or the UK is number 3, or like on Apple, I think Australia is number 3, but on
Wow.
the other one, Australia is number 4. But we've done several in Australia, we've done several in Germany, we've done several in Scotland, but no England. So we're going to do an England binge. So I better work on my British accent.
You gotta say British.
British.
British. Hmm.
That's a fun thing to say, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I gotta work. I haven't done a British accent in a long time, so I'm gonna have to work on that.
I've only done one poorly.
I can do a really good one, but I can't do it on command. It just has to happen.
Has to naturally flow.
Yeah. So anyway, right back into Ed Gein's house. But before we get started, why did Ed Gein run the heater at his house?
Why did he run the heater at his house, Bill?
So the furniture wouldn't get goosebumps.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I enjoyed being your co-host. And...
why didn't people want to play cards with Ed Gein?
Oh, something about a hand. Has to be. Has to be.
They were afraid that he'd come up with a good hand. What was Ed Gein's favorite pastry?
Dare I ask?
Ladyfingers.
Okay, I quit. Bye.
No, those are some real jokes that came up after Ed's trial in Plainfield.
Oh,
yeah, just had to.
It's going to be a long episode, everyone. Just so you know.
I couldn't resist. That came up in the documentary. I'm like, I got to include this.
See, you need to include that at the end, because now everyone's just like, and I'm done. I'm not listening anymore.
Nah, it's all good. Anyway, picking up where we left off, I had asked the question, do you want more?
I do.
Here we go. In addition to, should I recap what they found first?
Yes. From I think that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay. They found, I'll just read the whole list instead of breaking it in half. Chairs that were upholstered from human flesh, a lampshade that had been made of human skin, the remains of 12 human heads, gloves made from the skin of human hands, a jar of human noses, a box full of vaginas that were decorated with paint tied together with ribbons. He said that the paint was to preserve it. There was even a belt made from the nipples of multiple women, and like we talked about, a lampshade puller, or a blind puller that had been weighted down with 2 human lips. But in addition to all that, there was a trash can made from human skins, skulls on bedposts, skulls with the top sawed off, a corset made from a female torso.
That sounds really goth.
Yeah, skin from the shoulders to the waist, leggings made from skin, masks made from faces that he would wear. Mary Hogan's face, head was in a plastic bag. Oh wait, no, I said that wrong. I read that wrong. Mary Hogan's face was in a paper bag, and her skull was in a box. Bernice Warden's head was in a bag, and her heart was in a plastic bag. And all of these items came from females, and some were even estimated to be teenagers. Side note, when he was presented with all this evidence about Mary Hogan, he denied it. They literally had to tell him that they had found her head before he owned up to it. One cop.
That's not a way to get ahead in life.
Was that payback for the bad jokes I opened the show with. One of the police officers who had spent 6 hours in Ed's house, when he left, he went straight to Ed's jail cell and physically attacked him because he had been so disgusted from what he was seeing there. Yeah, he was demanding to know who else Ed had killed, and he had to be pulled off of Ed by several other cops. This officer is referred to as Ed Gein's final victim due to PTSD of what he had seen, and he died at a heart attack at only 43 years old.
Wow.
So while he wasn't lynched, every time he was in court or en route there, reporters would flock to him for quotes and pictures, and local people would scream at him. Ed had been so well liked in the community. Kids would come over and hang out with him. He even babysat some kids. They later found out that the soup bowls that Ed had used to give the kids soups were the top halves of victims' skulls.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to drink out of the skulls of your enemies, right? That's kind of an old tradition, yeah.
Well, yeah. But this is where the
But I
rumor...
mean, did he murder all these people, or was he just a ghoulish grave digger?
That's what we're going to get to. But no, he's only on record for killing 2 people, possibly 3. His brother. He's suspected of, more. So, but this is where the rumor of Ed serving human chili to people came from. Yeah, the chili thing never happened. There were rumors of Ed being a cannibal, because when police entered Ed's home, there was definitely a human heart in a frying pan on his stove. And yeah, so
it's like it was Cartman serving Scott Tenorman some chili.
Yeah, but that's another pop culture reference to Ed Gein, because of the rumor that Ed did that. But yeah, and that had to have been Bernice Warden's heart, because don't they remove the body organs from corpses at the morgue, don't they?
No, they don't. I mean, if they're fun fact, I like all the stuff about funerals and mortuary stuff. But when a person is embalmed, they actually, well, one, they drain the blood, they put embalming fluid in, but they use a big stabby javelin, almost called a trocar, to puncture the organs and get the embalming fluid in them, and also to remove bodily fluids. So, they very vigorously stab and poke and get all that out and put embalming fluid in. So if you look up a trocar, you will see a big javelin looking thing, which is how they stab. But they don't actually remove your organs. They leave them intact. The ancient Egyptians did, but they didn't remove your heart. That was the one thing they didn't remove.
But if it's got embalming fluid and everything, that's it had to have been Bernice Warden's heart. Had to have
probably
been.
Yeah.
He was definitely capable of eating corpses, but there's no evidence that he did, and he denied it. I mean, he probably did, but the chili thing probably didn't happen. Ed never went deer hunting, but he had deer meat that he would give to people. So Ed Gein, the cannibal, is definitely plausible, maybe even likely. So maybe
was
the chili
it deer
thing,
meat?
Yeah, maybe getting little Willie Picton vibes here. Yeah, maybe the chili thing did happen. Who the fuck knows?
That's a horrifying thought.
Well, it was proven that Ed Gein, or that Willie Picton served people human flesh. Yeah, that was proven.
Tastes like chicken, right?
I think they said it tastes like pork.
For those of you who have eaten human flesh, what is it closer to?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Chicken or pork?
But I think in the Picton episode, I think it was like basically, because he was a pig farmer, so I think that it was pork. I think I'm pretty sure that I've heard that human meat, the closest thing that you could compare it to would be pork, which like we said in the last episode, I am very allergic to pork. So, if I wind up stranded in the Andes with a bunch of soccer players or rugby players, I guess I'm just going to starve to death, and I'll be the first one eaten.
Well, it's okay. If that happens, I encourage you all, go ahead and eat me. It's okay.
Yeah, it's like I'm dead. What do I care?
Yeah, what do I care? Like, whatever. Just and like I said, you can turn my skull into a decorative bowl. I will be multi-purpose. It's okay.
Oh man, I think I have the most ghoulish co-host in all of true crime.
Again, I'm dead. What do I care?
I don't know. One of the girls on Morbid is a mortician.
Yes, another great mortician. If you're all on YouTube and everything, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen her, is Caitlin Doty. And she is Ask a Mortician. And if you want some fun, really good episodes, I love her to death, literally. And she's really great if you have those burning death questions. And she's written books and done a lot of things. She ran a nonprofit funeral home in California for a while. So very good. So if you have burning death questions, I say, here's a plug for Caitlin Doty. Ask a Mortician. She's wonderful.
Thanks. But the Plainfield Ghoul was the first nickname that was given to Ed because of all of this. And the people of that tiny town back in the 50s couldn't believe that something like this could happen there. Hell, I mean, even if the cops found a warehouse full of this stuff today, even in New York City, it would be extremely shocking. But Ed lived with this stuff. I'm pretty sure they have found similar things in a warehouse in New York City.
Yeah,
at least.
I wonder how it smelled. How did it have? I really wonder.
It stank. It stank. Yeah, I mean it just stank. I mean, but then again, most of the bodies that he had there had been embalmed, so maybe it didn't stink as much as a fresh corpse would. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, maybe not. I mean, but decomposition is decomposition. I mean, embalming just slows it down a little bit. You're still gonna break down.
Yeah, an older episode. Yeah, I went off topic, and I'm going to do the same thing just to do that. I think it was the Bone Mazel episode, but I'll just talk about like climate change and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about whether I believe it's real or whether I think it's not real or whatever. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that it is real. And but the reason it's happening is, we cremate people and we bury people in coffins. What if the Earth needs humans to consume, and because we're denying Earth, the humans
sacrifice what?
We're denying the Earth our dead people. Maybe that's why the global warming or whatever is happening, because the Earth isn't getting the nutrients that it needs.
Well, Bill, I mean, correlation and causation are very funny things. I mean, have you noticed that there's also been a huge decrease in pirates over the years, and the global temperature has risen, so perhaps everyone needs to be a pirate and global warming will stop.
No, it's just I'm not putting that out as a plausible theory, but it's a joke that might make you think for a split second.
The Earth is hungry. Yes.
Yeah. The Earth is consuming us.
I figure we're just not throwing enough people in volcanoes anymore.
I've always said that, I tell my daughters, I'm like, when I die, just take me out into an airboat and toss me in a swamp. Let the gators eat me.
There you go. Put some marshmallows on you. They'll like you even better. You can be like a sweet potato.
But, Ed had become more and more infatuated with death and corpses ever since Augusta had died 12 years earlier. After she died, his reading habits changed. He started reading erotica. He started reading detective magazines and medical textbooks. He also became enamored with Ilsa Cook, who worked at a Nazi concentration camp.
She was the one who made like human skin stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Some creepy.
She was known for collecting patches of skin from human prisoners and doing things with them. And some of his creations came right out of the list of atrocities committed by her. You know, he knew how to butcher animals, so he wanted to do the same thing to women, and he did it well. And he would read these things while eating beans out of his bowls that he made of human skulls, and he loved beans. There's bean cans all over the place. So I'm pretty sure that the smell in his house changed from the smell of death to flatulence several times in a day.
He had lots of fiber.
Yeah. But the most horrific thing was the infamous skin suit. The female's corset, skin from the shoulders to the waist, breasts intact. He would put this skin suit on over his naked body along with one of his female skin masks and the leggings and run around his yard at night pretending to be his mother. And he wasn't able to bring mother back, so he became mother. I can only imagine that while he was doing this, he was reciting things that she had screeched at him, like, "Ed, stop talking about those evil harlots, or they will take you to hell with them," or "Ed, why are you watching me take a bath?"
Was he listening to Goodbye Horses while he was doing it too? Which, interestingly enough, this Silence of the Lambs and that, that scene with the Goodbye Horses song, I discovered at one point that the person who sings that song is actually a female countertenor. She sounds very much like a male voice, but that's also why they chose that particular singer, Q Lazarus, because it was very kind of transgender sounding, but very, very difficult to figure out if it was male or female. But Q Lazarus is actually a countertenor female singer who sang that song when he's dancing in front of the mirror, looking very posh in his skin suit.
You need to go, as soon as we get done with this episode, you need to go buy a lottery ticket. And if you win, I get some kickback, because you mentioned you brought that up, and you've even used the word transgender, because the very next part of this, there is a transgender tie into this story. So, I mean, that was crazy how, I mean,
I swear I haven't read your script.
I know if you had said this like later on in the episode, I would have moved it to this spot. But now I don't have to, because you said it at the exact right spot. Yes, there is a transgender tie-in to the story. Ed, in one of his magazines that he read, had read a story about a U.S. soldier who had gone to Denmark after World War II and had sex change surgery and came back as a very convincing woman. George William Jorgensen Jr., born May 30th, 1926, died May 3rd, 1989, was drafted into the Army during World War II. After the war, he bounced around to several different occupations in the medical field, as well as doing photography. During this time, he learned about sex reassignment surgery, and he said that he had felt like a woman all of his life, and he went to Copenhagen in 1952 and was approved for a series of operations. Now, when Christine Jorgensen returned to the U.S., the New York Times did a front-page story about her. She became an actress, a singer, and as well as a transgender activist. And she was actually the first person to do this in the United States on a like a main scale, like a large scale.
Interesting.
Ed admitted to being obsessed with this case. And he said that when he was a kid, he wanted to be a little girl. But I didn't know that they were able to do that type of surgery that well back then. Because
Yeah,
I've seen pictures of Jorgensen. I would have been convinced. Yeah, if she had come at me, that's a dude would have never crossed my mind.
I don't know. I mean, there must have been some surgeons that were kind of pioneering some plastic surgery techniques
Well, he had to go to Denmark because
or Denmark.
But that's never, this still is taboo in the United States even today. So
Yeah.
a lot of people have to go to Canada or Mexico or whatever to get it done. But the surgery does happen in the United States. It's just not like, readily. It's just, your insurance isn't going to cover it.
Oh no. And then, insurance doesn't cover anything that they consider to be cosmetic.
Right. But that was crazy. I can't believe you brought that up right there. That blew my mind.
I'm gonna go play Powerball tonight. Or actually, I think the Powerball triggered, or was it Mega Millions that was up to almost 800 and it did trigger recently? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I know that I didn't win.
I know. I didn't win either, but if I did win, you wouldn't know immediately. But
no, I better get just 1 million. I can live the rest of my life on $1 million.
Can do. I guess that's a verbal contract that you people have just heard. So.
Well, and it's recorded too, and the same thing. If I win, you get $1 million. You get $1 million. You get $1 million. Everybody gets $1 million.
It's like Oprah handing out cars. You get a car. You get a car.
Where'd my money go?
Yeah.
But Ed admitted to wanting to look into getting that surgery. He said he liked the corpses because they kept him company, but really, as well liked as he was, there was no reason for him to be lonely. Even though he was the local oddball, everybody liked him.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. I'm not yawning because I find this boring. I'm tired.
I'm glad I didn't see you yawn because.
No, I'm just very tired after a very arduous week. But yeah.
But it took Ed 24 hours in custody to start talking. But once he did, he wanted a piece of paper. Once he did, he wanted a piece of apple pie with a slice of cheese on it.
What? Stop. Okay, is that a Wisconsin thing when you put cheese on everything?
I don't know. It's like Frank's Red Hot. I put that shit on everything.
I could see if it was maybe like cream cheese. Because sometimes you have like a pastry with a cream cheese and a.
Well, I'm guessing
filling.
you wanted. I'm guessing it was cheddar because that's mainly what they. That's like their main thing that they produce up there. I love me some cheddar cheese.
Oh, Wisconsin cheddar is the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially when you go to the fair, you get that deep fried Wisconsin cheddar cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Cheddar and Swiss are my two favorite. American cheese I don't really care for because it's just oil. Although American cheese goes. I like American cheese on a grilled cheese sandwich even better than I like cheddar cheese on a grilled cheese sandwich. There's something about a grilled cheese sandwich and American cheese that's just like perfect.
Oh yeah, that's just a staple, and you have American cheese. But yes, Swiss is one of my favorites too. Cheddar, Swiss, and I even like a little like Gouda or Dubliner. You ever had Dubliner cheese? That's some good stuff.
Sounds Irish.
Yes, it's Dubliner is good. It's You get it in like the fancy cheese section, like when you go to Publix and they have like, here's cheese in a bag from Kraft, but here's like your international cheeses type, you snooty. Yeah, Dubliner is really good.
It was the apple pie with the slice of cheese that got us derailed. He confessed to killing Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden without prompting. Well, other than, we found Mary Hogan's head. Okay, I did it. I killed her. But the police initially thought that Ed was a serial killer, even though that term didn't exist yet. But he told them otherwise, although it took them some convincing from Ed before they actually believed him about the grave robbing thing, because that's a lot of digging. They're like, did you have anybody help it? No, I did it myself.
I mean, he was a farm worker. He was probably used to it. But then again, I don't know. I mean, he could have gone and it probably would have been easier to break into like mausoleums or something, or
but
or morgues.
We're gonna get into the why here shortly. But Ed didn't kill all of these women who he had body parts from. And as far as we know, he only killed Bernice Worden and Mary Hogan, and he got the rest from the graveyard, the same one that George and Henry and Augusta were all buried in. He started grave robbing in 1947, 2 years after Augusta died. He was digging up the graves at night, and he was taking things from the bodies, things as in body parts, not like jewelry or anything like of value. And he didn't think that he was hurting anybody because, well, they were already dead.
I mean, other than the families who may not have wanted their loved one to be turned into a lampshade, but I guess
right. He admitted that he didn't know any of these people whose graves he desecrated. He would check the newspapers for funerals, funerals of women, and then he would go rob the graves of the freshly buried people because the ground was recently disturbed. Especially doing it in the wintertime up there, the ground's hard as
Yeah.
But so he would have probably continued to get away with it if he hadn't been so sloppy with the murder of Bernice Worden. Because he had, for all intents and purposes, gotten away with the murder of Mary Hogan.
Except for telling people she was strung up. I mean, if anyone actually went to look, I mean...
Oh, she's not missing at all. She's strung up in my barn. He sounded like Popeye there.
Olive oil.
Who's more of a bitch, Olive Oil or Jenny?
I don't
That's
know.
a tough question.
That is a tough question. Jenny. I mean,
Jenny gets a lot of flack for like being the worst on screen villain of all time. But people forget about Olive Oil. That woman was a freaking dirty player. Pitting these two men against each other, making them fight over her and all that stuff.
that is true. Although I feel like Jenny was kind of. I feel like I don't think Jenny necessarily ever wanted to hurt Forrest, but I don't know. She knew that he was
in love with her.
Yeah, she knew that, but she was on drugs and strung out and messed up and abused by her father and by all of her other boyfriends. I don't know. I think she was a classic case of can't choose a man. Keep making the wrong decision.
And then she finds out he's a multimillionaire, so she comes back with AIDS and gets with him and is like, oh, by the way, you can't touch me unless because
actually, surprisingly, the author of the book said she did not have AIDS. She had hepatitis C, which I think AIDS probably lended itself a little better, but
Yeah.
according to the writer, she had Hep C. Because I was always wondering to myself, I'm like, well, I mean, then there would be a possibility that Little Forrest had AIDS. But no.
Yeah, because I don't think hepatitis is fatal, is it?
It is. I mean, untreated hepatitis, yeah. Because, I mean, all it does is destroy your liver,
Well,
you know.
but if it was hepatitis, see, this is that. Okay, this is a fuck up on from the author, because Forrest is a multimillionaire. He could have gotten her the treatment that she needed if it was hep.
Well, the problem was at that time, Hep C was kind of an unknown. That's why she said that I have a virus, the doctors don't know what it is. They didn't have treatments at the time for Hep C.
Oh, and in the movie, she doesn't come out and say I have AIDS. She says I have something that the doctors don't know what it is, and everybody just
Right.
makes the leap because it was in the mid '80s that it was AIDS.
Right. But I mean, but to the same, to the other side of the coin, I mean, Hep C was also kind of an unknown, newer type of virus that they really wouldn't have had treatments for at the time.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I thought it was interesting too when I heard that, because yeah, AIDS seemed like the virus that would have made sense, but no, apparently she died of hepatitis.
Okay.
Go figure. But I digress.
Yeah. But most of these women were elderly or middle-aged and resembled his mother somewhat, but not all of them, because like I mentioned, like two of them were, estimated to be teenagers. He started off just taking body parts from the grave and taking them home, but that escalated, taking the whole corpse back to his barn. And he told the police which graves that he had robbed, and police went in and dug up the graves and pulled out the coffins. The coffins had been broken into. Some had the bodies, while others, some were empty. Some just had bodies with missing body parts. He admitted to robbing 9 graves, but police found 12 skulls. Ed had only admitted to 9 robberies and 2 murders, which totals 11. So maybe one of the skulls was Henry?
Could be. It'd be interesting. I mean, because they didn't really have DNA or anything.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what dental records were like back then.
Dick Darwin made that made that generalization in his commentary in part 1. They did not have any DNA back then, but it came out that he did try to exhume Augusta to bring her body home, but he couldn't get to her coffin because it was encased in concrete, which does happen. But the people who had made the Lost Tapes series, they tried to get permission to exhume Augusta's grave, but that was denied. Ed had said that he had never had sex with any of the corpses, and I believe that. I think he died a virgin, honestly. There's some people who disagree, but we'll never know. But I personally think that he was a virgin his entire life.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Once again, blame Augusta. If she had just let him get his dick wet, he might not have done all this shit.
Well, yeah, but then he might have stuck it in crazy, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he could have been a serial rapist murderer. But he said that he was trying to bring his mother back, and that's how much he missed Mama, or Mother.
Mother.
But, as horrible as she was, he wanted to love Mommy and to punish her at the same time. He knew he loved Mommy, but in the back of his mind, he also knew that she had done him wrong. In fact, the hold that Augusta had over Ed was almost cult-like. When a cult folds, sometimes members will look for another situation where they can be controlled, like like that due to the powerful brainwashing that the cult leader had over them. And this situation with Ed and Augusta is very similar, although Ed took it much farther. His identity was his beloved mother, and he wanted her back. And it's too bad Stephen King hadn't written Pet Sematary back then. That might have changed his mind.
That is one book that I always found very, very creepy. Was Pet Sematary.
Mm-hmm.
The character of Zelda. Oh, and and not a lot scared me necessarily as a kid, but I remember Pet Sematary and those scenes with Zelda. Ugh, like even today, I'm kind of creeped out. I'm like, yeesh.
The remake they did of Pet Sematary a few years ago was garbage.
Oh yeah, where the daughter died instead of Gage, and yeah.
But, so Ed was charged with the murder of Bernice Worden, and the media flooded the town. They interviewed everybody who had talked to them, and still some people said they couldn't believe that Ed had done this. He's like, oh, I think he was such a nice guy. Fucking Popeye again. Other people were horrified, and I think they were all horrified, but some people were horrified and in disbelief at the same time.
Well, probably. I mean, yeah, it's I would think about anybody that I know in passing or neighbors or something. Yeah, if I heard that he had a nipple belt and stuff, I'd be a little bit creeped out too.
Yeah. This is one of the first cases where the story went nationwide overnight. Like H.H. Holmes was the first, but they didn't have TV when that case happened. True crime fans at the time were taking road trips and walking onto the property, destroying the crime scene. There's a picture that I saw of two people trying to climb into the window of the house.
Wow.
November 21st, 1957, Ed pled not guilty by reason of insanity. He claimed that he was in a haze when he did all of this, and the murders, the grave robbing, the desecration of bodies, as for the murders of Mary and Bernice, and he said, if it could be shown that my gun killed them, I guess it was me. Ted Bundy tried the same thing. So did Jeffrey Dahmer. So did Jodi Arias. Lots of them claim amnesia or blackouts and all that stuff. But Ed Gein's the only one that it was successful on. That defense was successful on, because
and I kind of feel like I kind of feel he was just a little bit. It's too messed up, like clearly messed up, and I almost kind of believe that he was.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously he was insane, but.
But to this, now I may be wrong, and please let us know in the comments if I am wrong. But I believe that this is the only case in U.S. history where, for a murderer to have basically, not been given the death penalty and was just basically committed to a mental institution for the rest of his life, and I think because of insanity, I think he's the only one.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I mean, it's. I mean, I know that there's obviously been people who pled insanity and got it. I don't know about their sentencing.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, he could. People can claim that and everything and get it pushed back. But we're going to get into his sentencing and what happened. It's just like, they, people claim insanity. It, sometimes it'll be like get pushed back until there's more like treatment and stuff like that. And then they eventually wind up standing trial anyway and being convicted and the sentence carried out. But not Ed. But lots of them claim amnesia, like I said. But it was a rifle that Bernice had for sale that killed her. But he swore that he didn't remember doing any of this. He was declared unfit to stand trial, and doctors concluded that he was clinically psychotic and that he had hallucinations and he heard voices in his head. Probably Augusta saying, "Ed!"
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they could. Yeah, I'm sure if they could prove that he was schizophrenic or something like that, maybe. I don't know.
He was sent to the state hospital for the criminally insane in Waupun, Wisconsin, 70 miles from Plainfield. It was a mental institution back then, but now it's a maximum security prison. But got to do something with the building after Reagan closes down all the mental institutions.
Mhm.
But in 1958, the Gein farm was to be auctioned off, but Plainfield's people didn't want to be a true crime tourist destination, which it was already starting to turn into. Yeah, there was rumors that somebody wanted to buy it, to buy the property and like actually turn the house into a Ed Gein museum. But which
Were all the original pieces part of the gallery?
we'll get to that. Put a knife in that. Hasn't been a knife yet this episode. But the structures were burned down prior to the auction, and nobody really knows who did it. The day that it happened, the buildings were being emptied, and all the trash was being burned, and it was accepted that the buildings being burned was accidental, saying that the wind had carried embers into the building, and that was what started it. But they didn't do any real investigation into it. It was probably arson.
Yeah. I would assume so. So I'm like, let me just torch this place.
Yeah. But people still came through Plainfield anyway just to see the property. Ed's truck, which was actually Bernice's truck, because he kept it, was auctioned off, and a carnival worker bought it for $700 and toured it all over the United States, charging people to view it, saying that this was the truck that Ed loaded all the bodies onto on the way back to his house. That obviously was not true. There were other people selling dirt packets said to be dirt from his gravesite, which was snake oil because Ed lived until 1984. I mean,
could have been grave dirt from Mommy's grave.
Yeah, I thought about that, but they also, yeah. Well, we'll get there. I know for a fact that we're gonna. What I was about to say, I know for a fact is a little bit further. But he was in the hospital for 11 years. Doctors finally ruled that he was fit to stand trial. On November 14, 1968, Ed was found guilty for the murder of Bernice Warden. But he was once again declared insane and shipped back to the institution. And he seemed to do very well there. Why? Take a guess.
He was such a nice guy.
Well, deeper than that.
I don't know. Go ahead.
People were looking after him and telling him what to do. He liked structure and having people in charge of him. He should have just joined the military when he turned 18.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Ed, you can't join the military. The military's bad, Ed.
Oh God!
Can't do that voice.
Yeah, freaking sore throat, man. I mean, but I don't know. A few more of these, and I might be able to do one. But then we'll be done. When the trial was finally over, all of the body parts that police had on ice were put into a mass grave in the cemetery. This included Mary Hogan's head, the skin suit, the nipple belt, everything. There's a gravestone there that says this site is dedicated to all the unknown who are buried here. The graves have never been exhumed to see what is or isn't in them. if there
I'm
was ever a
surprised no one dug that crap up, because that would be
yeah, right.
some. I mean, that would be some sick people. But I could see people being like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go get myself a
Well, the
lampshade or something."
the lampshade and the skin suit that would have deteriorated within a week, you know. But yeah, the only thing left in there after a short period of time initially would have been the bones. But yeah, you get yourself a nice little bowl, a nice little soup bowl.
Get yourself a whole set of them.
Yeah. Yesterday I was driving. I stopped at this intersection. I saw this Jeep, and it was a 4-seater Jeep, front and back seat, and they had the doors off of it. And in the driver's side and the back seat, there was a fucking skeleton seat
Oh yeah.
belted in there.
Oh, I already told because Doug has a Wrangler. I saw a picture of someone who took one of those 12-foot skeletons,
Oh,
took off the doors, like put it in the back with the roof. I was like, okay, I guess this is goals. We just need to have one of them bad boys in the back.
oh no, I just thought that was funny. But Gein was interviewed by a psychologist, and he was completely incoherent, but he was at peace. And he was, like I said before, I mean, he did well. He was a model inmate. July 26, 1984, Ed died of lung cancer at 77 years old. He was buried right in a plot right next to Mother, where she can screech at him for all eternity, and for Ed, that's heaven.
I remember my father always joked before he passed away. He said, "Just don't bury me between your mother and her sister." I said, "Don't worry, Dad.
Damn.
We won't."
Where was I? Okay, this is the same graveyard that he had desecrated, and at one point, his gravestone was stolen. Pieces of it were being sold online, and to date, at least 5 headstones have been stolen. The one that's there now has chunks missing out of it. Yeah, I brought up Bum Mazel earlier. I visited his grave. Bum Mazel was the original Florida cracker or Florida man. We covered back in episode 39. He wasn't a murderer. He was just, it was just a crazy story. Yeah, I didn't steal his headstone.
Are you sure you didn't?
Yeah, it's still there. You can go there. I did a shot in his honor. I did a shot in his honor because the guy loved his drink. And when I went there, I mean, there's video of Instagram posted of when I went there, but when I went there, there was a bottle of whiskey. It's one of these concrete graves that's like above ground, with the coffin inside it, and somebody had left a half a bottle of whiskey there because the guy was a legendary drinker. But so I did a shot in his honor, and I left a shot of whiskey in a CKCB shot glass on his headstone.
Nice.
It's probably long gone now, but whatever. But
Yeah.
But yeah, check that. Find out that's on Instagram. I think I posted that in the Facebook pages too. But I think I did. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Bum Mazel was. Yeah, you should listen to that episode number 39. It's like crazy, funny story. But in order to be a serial killer, you have to kill 3 people. He killed 2, but I firmly believe that he killed his brother Henry, which makes him a serial killer. He's suspected of more, but there's no evidence. But there are several unsolved cases around Plainfield that time, around the same time. So maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Either way, it's the other things he did that makes him so well known. Just the horrific nature of everything that he did with human bodies.
I mean, it seems like to me that if they weren't from the town he was in, it might not have been him because he just seemed to stick around where he was.
Well, yeah, these unsolved cases were
Yeah.
from Plainfield,
Man.
and these these people, as far as I know, are still missing. They were never found. So, yeah, it's possible, but it's also possible that they could have had a Dick Cheney hunting accident and the body was never found.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for those who might not know what I'm talking about, former Vice President Dick Cheney shot somebody accidentally while he was hunting.
You thought it was a deer, right?
Yeah, but
Dressed in orange.
but yeah, but still, yeah. I mean, it's possible that that's what happened too, but anything could have happened. Ed's one of the most infamous killers. He comes up in many books, movies, and even songs. Author Robert Bloch moved to Wisconsin, and when he moved there, the newspapers were reporting that Ed was motivated by his obsessive love for his mother, and he started writing a novel about that. That book became Psycho, and the Norman Bates character was not only based on Ed Gein, but Bates at the end of the book compares himself to Ed Gein. I haven't read the book, but that's interesting. Psycho became the first horror movie franchise where the villain wasn't a monster or an alien, but rather a human. And it had 6 movies and the TV show Bates Motel, which is very good, which came out years later. The scene of the motel guest going into Norman's dirty house in the original Psycho movie and finding Norma's mummified body in her spotless room, that was a direct reference to Ed Gein because of his room, his mother's room. It was like perfectly
kept clean.
Yeah. Ed also inspired Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise because of the skin mask. The house in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was chosen because it resembled the photos of Ed's house. The sets were made from inside the Sawyer house they were made to resemble the photos taken from Ed Gein's house.
Nice.
The monologue the creepy monologue at the beginning of the first Texas Chainsaw movie says that the events described are true, and it's followed by a very real sounding news report.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that was actually true was the skin mask, the skin furniture, and the scenes from the house. But that movie news footage was based on and delivered in a very similar way to how Ed Gein was reported in real life. And that opening scene in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was brilliant. Mm. Even Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs was also based on Ed Gein. That character also made a skin suit like what we talked about earlier. And and I'm serious. You better go buy a lottery ticket after we get done.
So he likes to skin his humps.
That was just crazy, the whole transgender thing and how you brought it up right before I was about to talk about it. That was crazy. But also, House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects can be included in this list. There have been several movies made about Ed specifically. In the Light of the Moon came out in 2000, and it so far is the best depiction of Ed. I've seen that movie. It was really good. The only thing I can remember that was the cop that attacked Ed in the jail cell. He attacked Ed when they went to arrest him at his friend's house when he was eating dinner with him. That's the only thing that I can remember that wasn't really historically accurate, but still, it's more dramatic that way.
You can kind of add a little bit of fantastical drama,
a little flair, a little pizzazz.
Yeah.
But next year, the same crew that made the Dahmer series on Netflix, as well as the Menendez brothers one that's about to come out, they're going to start working on a series about Ed Gein with Charlie Hunnam, Hunnam, Hunnam.
Hmm.
I don't know who,
Hunam, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know who that is, but he's the guy that's playing Ed. I really do think that what he did to Bernice Warden was definitely referenced in the first Terrifier movie in that infamous hacksaw scene. You know, like I mentioned in the BTK series in Terrifier 2, Art is in a victim's home and he drinks a glass of water, and that's obviously referencing BTK because that was his thing, you know. But I think once Terrifier 3 comes out, I'll watch it, and along with I'll rewatch like parts 1 and 2 just to see how many references to actual serial killers there are, and you know, because I'm sure there's 2 right there. I'm sure there's more. There's got to be more. You know.
Oh, again, I have never seen those movies. Like I said, I walked in on my husband watching it the other day and was like, "What the hell are you watching?" Okay.
Yeah, I don't like gore. I like horror movies, but I'm not particularly a fan of gore porn, which the Terrifier movies are. But it's just
I don't mind gore. I just, there are some things that are a little bit cringe, especially like the Saw movies and stuff, were a little bit cringe, but it doesn't bother me that much. I can sit there and eat my pizza or whatever while, you know, I'm watching people hack off their feet and stuff, whatever,
Yeah, but well, hell, just the clown itself, that's a John Wayne Gacy reference.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how many, like watching all 3 of those movies back to back and just taking notes. And I also think that it might actually be cool to do a potpourri episode of horror movies that reference real life killers. Because we've mentioned more on this show. Like Dexter did it several times throughout that series. Like Dexter did something like right out of BTK, and I mean I cover that in the BTK series. But he's also been brought up in many songs like "Dead Skin Mask" by Slayer, and there's others, but yeah, I mean Ed Gein is probably as far as lore goes and pop culture and everything, Ed Gein's probably the top dog when it comes to stuff like that. And but yeah, that's what I got. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean he's definitely, like you said, one of the heavy hitters, and certainly there's a lot to unpack with him. That and I think that's what lends him so well to the inspiration of movies and stuff, because you have the psychosis with the mother and the abusive, and then the murdering the women, and then kind of wearing the women and making things out of their skin, and grave robbing, and he's just this whole mishmash of complete crazy fuckery.
Yeah.
It just lends itself well to, pop culture and movies and other things that are macabre.
Yeah, we had another a recurring character on the show, Flaccid Jizzless, the Norwegian black metal tambourine man. He was gonna submit a song about Ed Gein, but he didn't get it done in time. So he said he'll keep an ear out. Maybe we do one of these British ones. He'll do one. But yeah, Flaccid hasn't been on the show since I believe the Panzram series, which was like back in September of last year.
Wow.
So,
right.
But anyway, it's a good little 2-parter.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, I was kind of it's like it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't like coincidentally done 3 Wisconsin stories in a row. I'm like, okay, we just make it a binge, finish it with Ed Gein.
That's how you do.
Yeah, because Jeffrey Dahmer is still not ready to do that one yet.
That's gonna take a hot minute.
Yeah, but yeah, that's going to be at least a 4-part episode, at least, maybe even a 5. So far, we haven't done a 5. We've only done 1 4-part, and that was Willie Pickton. Yeah, there's been a couple 3 parts, but there's Panzram was 3, BTK was 3. I can't think if there was another. There's been quite a few 2s. I think there's only been like 2 3-parters, so who knows? But yeah, I like this one. I'm glad that I'm glad you've released it, because once I got into it, I was just like, okay, yeah, this is cool. So
Nice.
Anyway, that's it. Now we're going to bring in your husband to talk about the beer of the week. All right, so wrapping up part 2 of Ed Gein and completely wrapping up the Wisconsin Cheese Binge. We're doing our new segment with Doug, Sandra's husband, and his beer of the week. So let her rip.
Yeah. So okay. Should be around the 1st of October, and I figured it would be good to start out the spooky season with something both dark and pumpkin spice, because October and such. So the beer I have today is from Southern Tier. All right, and this beer is called Warlock.
Nice.
All right, and this is an Imperial Pumpkin Stout. So it is dark. It is my favorite pumpkin stout. There's a lot of them out there. There are tons, especially this time of year, there are a ton of pumpkin flavored beers out there, everything from ales to lagers to stouts, etc. This is my favorite. It is an imperial stout brewed with pumpkins, again from Southern Tier out of New York. All right. It is an 89 out of 100 on beeradvocate.com. Again, beeradvocate.com is where I get my beer reviews and such from. I've had this every year since it came out. It's been out for 5-6 years now. Around this time of year is when it releases, and I try to grab it as soon as it drops. This can be found just about anywhere. I picked this up at our local Publix a little bit ago. So, but yeah, this is a common beer. Just about any name brand grocery store, etc. Usually maybe can carry it, or ABC Liquor, Total Wine, that kind of thing can be found regularly. It's an 8.6 ABV. Again, I love the artwork on it too. They tend to change the artwork up just about every year, but it still always has the black pumpkin guy on it, just in different robes or something. But yeah, solid dark beer. Let's pour it up here real quick. All right. Again, very dark. This one has a nice head on it for a beer. So this one is the big brother, by the way. There's a little brother that's more commonly found from Southern Tier. It's called Pumpkin. Pumpkin, you can find that one is very readily available. Just about, I think even like 7-Elevens and Circle K's carry that thing around this time of the year. It's commonplace. Warlock, a little bit harder to find, but definitely worth the pickup if you can get your hands on it. Again, very dark. Oh, the pumpkin and the pumpkin spice, definitely. This one, what I like to say is this one likes to kick you in the teeth with pumpkin. This one just goes crazy with the pumpkin spice and such. They do use real pumpkin in this. They also use a lot of spices as well, which can give it the kind of box flavor, like you would get from like a Betty Crocker or something like a box powdered cake mix type thing, which I don't find bad. I think it comes through very nicely, especially the real pumpkin comes through in this. But those spices, man, just it reminds me of fall. It reminds me of this time of the year, etc. Oh man, this year's batch is really good.
Nice.
Definitely the pumpkin is overpowered. Not to say overpowering. That's the wrong. The pumpkin. Bold, yes. It is a very bold pumpkin flavor. But again, 8.6 on the ABV, so this is For most people, it would be high octane. For me, it's on the lower end. Again, I like to stick between about a 12 and 13% for my stouts and such. So this is an easy drinker for me. This one, a 4-pack in an afternoon, easily done. In which this is right now. They used to sell this in bomber bottles, the 22-ounce bombers. They found it was a lot easier to produce it if they went to a 4-pack 12-ounce bottle system, which is that's what they do now. So if you do find this, it'll more than likely be in a 4-pack of 12-ounce bottles. But again, this is Warlock from Southern Tier out of New York. The first of a few pumpkin flavored falls type beers I will have in the next coming weeks. So. But back to you, Bill.
All right. That once again, I wish I wasn't so finicky, but whatever. It is what it is. There.
Just drink your Bud Light. And now,
Yeah.
my husband is not really a lush. Like
No,
as he sits there and says, "I'll go through a 4-pack."
There is a difference between a beer snob and a beer geek. All right, there is a true difference between those two terms. A beer snob. If I'm at a baseball game and someone buys me a Bud Light during a baseball game, beer snob, no, I'm not going to get that away from me. Beer geek, hey, that's free beer. Give.
Yeah.
But I appreciate good beer. I critique it. I look for certain things in the aroma. I look for certain things in the taste, etc. That is the difference between a beer snob and a beer geek. Beer snob, if it's not poured in the right glass, if it's not the right consistency, etc., Bud Light, anything in that realm, they're going to stub their nose at it and walk away. Whereas me, if I'm at a ball game with you, Bill, and you buy me a Bud Light, I'm going to drink that Bud Light because, hey, it's free beer, right?
Well,
So,
I mean, I can generally drink other beers after I have about 6 or 7 Bud Lights.
So after 6 or 7 Bud Lights, you go to Natty Light.
No, hell no. Hell no.
Corona with a lime.
Corona's disgusting. It beats the shit out of you on the way down.
PBR.
Ugh,
My brother used to drink PBR by the 24-pack case in a night. Like he'd go through 24 cans a night of PBR because it's less than water. Like Bud Light I consider like drinking water, but PBR is one step below that. You can put back 24 cans of PBR and you are well hydrated.
Yeah, but I don't know. One of these days, I don't know. You might talk me into trying some of this other stuff at some point.
Yep. Yeah. So I do know that when it comes to craft beer, Bud Light is a style of beer. It's an American lager, right? So you can go to a craft brewery and get an American lager, and it just tastes like Bud Light, but better. So they are out there. So just find your local craft brewery, see if they have an American lager on tap, and give it a go. And I guarantee you, it's like, man, this is like Bud Light, but better.
Okay.
So.
Well,
So he goes back to Bud Light.
Well, I'm sure it costs less.
Bud Light, yes, but
Bud Light, yes. But I mean, a typical pint at a craft brewery nowadays, is between like $4 and $6. $4 and $6 a pint. Depending on the beer or whatnot. Like my beers are usually $6 to $8 because they're high octane. But a normal pint of their IPA or their lager or anything like that is going to run you between $4 and $6 at a decent craft brewery.
But, so,
cheers.
One of these days, I'm sure you'll get me to try something.
I'm just drinking water, which is essentially the same as Bill, so it's okay.
Well, I'm drinking water right now we're doing 2 episodes today. If I did,
you're always drinking water, Bill, no matter what.
Well, I'm drinking unflavored water. Right
One thing I do plan on doing at some point is I want to get my my level 1 Cicerone. They're certified beer pourer, I think, so you know what type of glass to use based on the beer type, all that kind of stuff. It's a test you can take. You have to go to a facility, and basically a level 1 is you know how to pour beer. A level 3, I could taste a beer and I could tell you what farm the malt came from.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever get to that level. I don't have a palate for that kind of thing, but definitely a level 1 beer serving Cicerone, definitely in my future at some point.
Nice. Well, yeah. Once again, if you want to send us or Doug a beer to review or whatever, for right now, email the podcast at ckcbpodcast.com and just put beer in the subject line, and then I'll forward that over to Doug. But but next time we do this, Doug will probably have a email set up specifically for that. So
Absolutely.
So anyway, thanks a hell of a lot for listening. We appreciate it. And like, share, review, comment, subscribe, do all the things. And if you like us, tell a friend. If you hate us, tell a foe. And don't eat too much cheese, seeing as now we're done with the Wisconsin Cheese Binge, because I mean that shit can make you constipated.
Eat a handful of prunes if you do.
Let your stomach sort it out.
Yeah,
They'll battle each other out. It's
prunes and cheese. Yeah, yum. On
hey,
pizza.
Fruit and cheese. That don't work. Oh, stop. Okay, you went too far. Pineapple does belong on pizza, though.
No, it doesn't.
Oh no! Now we're gonna have a fight.
No. This isn't a fight. This is a massacre. It's 2-on-1. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. I'm with you on that one, Bill. I'm absolutely with you on that one.
You eat pineapple on pizza. Don't stop it. You wouldn't turn down a Hawaiian pizza.
If that's the only one available, yeah, just like I said, beer snob, beer geek. If it's free pizza in front of me and it happens to have pineapple on it, yes, I will eat it. Do I ever order it? Only for you.
I'm the same way, but I won't. I can't. I'm very allergic to sausage. So I won't. If it's a ham and pineapple pizza, I won't be able to touch it.
I'm laughing because I like sausage and pineapple pizza.
Yep.
It's sweet and sour. It's like a little spicy with the sweet.
Fun fact: pineapple. The reason your mouth burns is because it has like a toxin in it. It's trying to defend itself from being devoured.
It can't defend itself from this.
No, it can't. But it's like a defense mechanism.
Well, yeah, that's peppers too. I mean, that's capsaicin's like, don't eat me, stop. But humans are like, put more, because for some reason we're weird like that.
Anyway, until next time, later.
Bye.
Bye.
You see